please stand and remain standing for our national anthem to be led by Bradley G. Keith and followed by the invocation by Rabbi William A. Rosenthal.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, Saint, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
O Heavenly Father, Thou who dost implant within mankind the desire for knowledge and the ability to learn, we who gather here do praise Thy name. On this day of achievement for hundreds of Thy children, we implore Thy blessing on their future endeavors, even as we thank Thee for their virtues of perseverance and dedication. In a world where moral values no longer seem to be discerned by many of us, indeed where righteousness and truth suffer from pretense and perversion, where unwise youth too often is deceived by cynical age, we ask of Thee that these graduates be guided by the lights of understanding and sincerity in their chosen fields of enterprise and scholarship. May their continuing efforts to serve humanity ever be informed by the hope and inspiration of honest accomplishment, that their lives increasingly reflect the bounties of political freedom and spiritual liberty in our now venerable American democracy. May their present devotion to learning develop into lifelong loyalty to those standards of human behavior which will ensure our survival as a nation consecrated to the furtherance of Thy law and Thy love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shenatan mehachmato levasar l'adam. Praise be Thou, O Lord our God, sovereign of the universe, who grantest of Thy knowledge to flesh and blood. Amen.
Be seated, please. It's my very great pleasure, representing the faculty, the administration, and board of trustees, and our senior students here today, to welcome all of you, our guests, for the 1987 graduation. I am particularly grateful to be a part of this occasion because for me, as for all of these senior graduates, this is a time of rejoicing. But more importantly, it is a time when we recognize the dedication, the discipline, and the achievement of these students. Just a few short years ago, you came to this campus with high hopes, lofty ambitions, and a commitment to learn. And with those same attributes and with increased knowledge and wisdom gained through hard work and perseverance during your studies at this institution, you are now ready to begin the pursuit of your chosen field in fulfilling your dreams and in making significant contributions to society. My sincere hope for each of you as graduates is that as you travel through the corridors of life, many doors of opportunity will open for you. While this is a day that belongs to our graduates, I feel it also is a day that belongs to their families and their friends, for they represent love and patience and in many instances sacrifice that made this day possible. So on behalf of all of the students, our graduates, and again, the Board of Trustees and our faculty and the administration, I would like to honor the families and friends of our graduates, and first particularly on this Mother's Day, the mothers of our graduates. Would the mothers and grandmothers in the audience please stand and let us all recognize you. All of the other members of the families of our graduates to please stand and be recognized. At this time, I would like to introduce to you our platform guests. First, Honorable Joey Berry, Jr., my good friend and chairman of the South Carolina State College Board of Trustees. Joe. Mr. F. Mitchell Johnson, Vice Chairman of the South Carolina State College Board of Trustees. Mr. O. Johnson Small, President of the College of Charleston Foundation. Rabbi William A. Rosenthal, Beth Elohim, Charleston, South Carolina. Reverend John C. Buchanan, St. Andrew's Episcopal Church, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Mr. Robert M. Hollings, President of the College of Charleston Alumni Association. Dr. Chester W. Bain, Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs. Dr. Francis Welch, Assistant Dean for Graduate Studies. Dr. Harry W. Freeman, Distinguished Professor of Biology and Faculty Marshal. Dr. Michael T. Finnifrock, Professor of History and Speaker of the Faculty. Dr. Rue A. Godow, Undergraduate Dean. We also have with us today a special and distinguished guest whom I am privileged to present to you and to whom we will be awarding an honorary degree today. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce him at this time, Dr. Richard H. Gadsden, Sr. At this time, I am pleased to present to you two of our students for their remarks. Ms. Deborah Gammons is President of the Student Government Association, and Mr. C.N. Alcott is President of the Senior Class.
Thank you, Dr. Lightsey. I was informed by Tony Meyer, the Executive Secretary of the Alumni Association, that I had to deliver this address in Latin. And I looked at him and said, no way. So what I'll do, I'll give it to you in Spanish. No, I'll do it in English. Good evening and again, welcome. We, the senior class of 1987, are rather excited today. We've spent the last few weeks losing sleep due to final exams and final papers, looking for final additions to today's attire, and celebrating a little. Now we're here, Sunday, Mother's Day, our commencement. We are about to embark on a new journey. We will leave behind many memories, some good and some not good. We will leave behind professors and administrators who are not only our teachers, but who also became our friends. We will leave behind fellow students who became our best friends in every sense of the word. It would be inappropriate and highly improper for us to set sail on our new journey without saying thank you. To those professors who challenged us and made us see that true education means to be able to think, to have a heightened awareness of and a great responsibility for ourselves and the world around us, and to never forget the importance of education, we say thank you. To those administrators who guided us and who sometimes frustrated us with not enough attention and too much red tape, but who made us realize that we must fight and persevere for that which we desire, we say thank you. And to our families who have been loyal and supportive, who made our college experience a reality, we also say thank you. Often you are the last to be recognized by us because of our numerous hours spent with school. And for all the years of neglect, we ask that you accept our apology. I lost my grandmother a year ago today, and since then, I've often kicked myself for not telling her how much I loved her or appreciated her support. For those who were with us in the beginning of our college years, but who are no longer with us because of some tragic event, I ask that we remember them with gratitude. Even though they are not with us physically, they are here in our hearts. Throughout our 4 years, for some it's been 5 or 6, we have met a host of interesting and diverse people, and we have experienced many new things. We feel more whole now than we did when we were freshmen. We have learned much. However, one perplexing paradox we have discovered is that the more knowledge we obtain, the more ignorant we seem. We have discovered that the process of learning is infinite. We will never learn everything about everything. But as Dean Boyce Cox remarked to me once, as liberal arts graduates, we do know a little about almost everything. I do hope that we will not ever want to stop learning, because when we stop learning, we stop growing. And when we stop growing, we slowly deteriorate and waste away. Education, no doubt, is important. Yet we are faced with budget cuts for schools and universities. This is unfortunate. It seems that we, as Americans, feel that it is more important to spend money on nuclear arms and other anti-personnel machinery and weapons than it is to spend on the education of our people. Intelligence is an asset, but it is not justly rewarded. I am only mentioning what I perceive as an illogical and dangerous way of thinking in hopes that some of us in the class of 1987 will take upon ourselves to lift education up on that pedestal next to nuclear arms, or maybe even above it. Sapientia ipsa libertas, avis mores juraque curat. Our motto declares that wisdom itself is liberty, and it takes care of its buildings, customs, and laws. Wisdom is liberty. Perhaps we should look for ways to increase our knowledge instead of ways to increase our nuclear arms. I do believe that we have in this class many who will lift up education, and also many who will work in other ways to improve our country and our state. To the senior class, I remind you that there's certainly much that needs improving. Surely we have lots to do improving the college, our college. And I say our college because it is just that. We have chiseled away a little of this institution that we will take with us, and we will leave behind a little of ourselves with it, a fair exchange. But even as we descend these stairs and recess through Porter's Lodge into what we have heard called the real world, it will still be our college, and it will still need our support. We can, and I hope we will support our school by encouraging top-notch individuals to enroll here, by improving the image of the college, and by involving ourselves in the ongoing effort of the college's strive for excellence. Recognition for excellent faculty members is one area that certainly needs to be improved. Our good professors are often overlooked. Our support will be a giant leap as we move toward continued improvement. Moreover, improvement extends to changing the image of the college. Many complain about the College of Charleston, and many do not know what a great school we have here. Our support will alter negative images and will win for us a much-deserved recognition. I too complain about this school, but I also try to do something about those complaints. I've heard complaints of racism on this campus. I am angered and disappointed in such claims. I do not deny the fact that there probably are some prejudiced people on this campus because racial prejudice exists in America. Prejudice, of course, wallows in ignorance and narrow-mindedness. Yes, we may have some prejudiced people here on this campus, but we do not have a racist campus. I believe that what a student sets out to accomplish at this college, she will accomplish it. The majority of those who work here are full of wisdom and support and are willing to help students achieve their goals. But the student must also be willing to ask for help, to push for support. It is indeed easy to sit back and do nothing, to go to class and then home, to walk around without a smile or a hello, to not talk with professors or try to meet at least one new person. It is easy, but it is not beneficial. This campus is a small community enclosed in a larger one, and we all must interact with each other. A student must be willing, as a responsible member of this campus community, to put out some effort in reaching out to her fellow members of the community. Life involves reaching out and sharing, not sitting back in a corner with the arms folded in dislike and disinterest. No, we do not have a racist campus. We just have a few individuals who are not willing to extend a hand or give a smile. We all must learn to live together. I was born to make this address short, and I do not wish to be reprimanded by my fellow classmates and other professors. But I do want to say that despite the college's lack of recognition and various rumors and a need for improvement, I am proud of the College of Charleston, and I enjoyed immensely being here for the past 4 years. I am saddened by the fact that I, like my other classmates, must set sail again when it seems that I just set my feet on the shore. Fellow classmates of the senior class of 1987, I think you guys are super. And when I look into your eyes, I see knowledge and a desire to do good with that knowledge. I see movers and shakers. I am often reminded of the theme of my 7th grade yearbook. It stated, or it asked, will it matter that I was? And throughout the yearbook, we were shown that it will matter that we were. I know that it will matter that this senior class exists now, and it will matter years from now. Of course, while on our journey, we may not all become Robin Hardins, Nan Morrisons, Reed Wisemans, Maggie Penningtons, Doug Kennards, or Sandy Powers, Tom Palmers, Harry Friedmans, or Harry Lexies, or many of the great people that are here, but hopefully we'll come close. To all of you, again, I say thank you, most sincerely. We will miss this school, our school. We hope to make you proud while we embark on our new journey to a brighter horizon. Just want to emphasize what Dr. Hammerach related to us in his baccalaureate message yesterday, in his stories of Joseph and David. You gotta have a dream if you're going to make a dream come true. Don't forget to dream. And please remember this, if you don't remember anything else I've said today, remember that there is no such thing as an impossible dream. Thank you, and may God bless you.
First of all, I'd like to say after 4 years at the college and a few linguistic classes, S-E-A-N is pronounced Sean. And that's okay. I'd like to welcome you all here, and I'd especially like to thank the mothers and grandmothers in the audience, because if you weren't here, we wouldn't be here. It's as simple as biology. And I didn't do so well in biology. But for the commencement, this day is one of sorrow and one of joy, one of which we reminisce. Reflections of an academic career are clearly comprehensible. However, the reflections are of the past, and we have to look towards our futures. Reality, however cruel it may be, is upon us. As a French major, my main concentration was French existentialist theater, a world of cruelty, human condition, and absurdity. But we're here, and we will mend society. We will strive for better futures. We will guide the future. We can no longer rely on the security of a college environment, as we are alumni, for protection. As adults, as college graduates, we must move on. Individualism and achievement are our new desires. New goals and aspirations must be set. We each have to reach for the sky and beyond. For if we do not, we will not be achievers, nor will we set our futures. We were all given the gifts of intelligence and multitudinous talents. We prove that each day. We've proved it today. But we all have to continue to strengthen and fortify our intelligence every day. To reflect back on my academic experiences, I see many changes, some inferior and some that are very drastic. The changes then influence each as the individual, both politically and personally. The college's changes have been good and bad, but since we, the students, and now we are alumni, can only help to mend the differences by becoming involved. No matter what the answers are, we must present the questions to solve the problem. It is us who will be the leaders of tomorrow, so let's prepare today. Let's do it now. We each have our own dreams, our own desires, and our own goals, so let's pursue them. There is nothing to hold us back. We will get what we want without being greedy. In the words of the late President John F. Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. The only way we will achieve is by means of helping others. It's simple, and people will acknowledge your gift of assistance, so be generous. It's simple, and, through the experiences of helping others, we then continue to learn, to grow, and then to achieve. My achievements may not have been many, but each has been one of learning and a step into the hierarchy of each day's ladder. I've attained responsibilities, learned high points as well as stress points, experienced the endeavors of success and those of pitfalls. And I've made the acquaintances of persons who have been mentors, people whom I've watched and through whom I've grown. I do know that we'll never have all the answers to all the problems, but we can at least experience. I also know that every day may not be an accomplishment. It's within a realistic philosophy that we must strive. That's the overall importance. If we fumble, it's okay. Let's just jump up and fight a little bit harder. We will tackle every obstacle. Nothing is going to interfere with our dreams. Each of us will go our separate ways. We need to, as we will be more well-rounded. We will eventually get the goals we have long set. The dreams, the desires, and the achievements are all tomorrow's. It's only a day away, so let's grasp it. I challenge you. You've gotten this far, well, let's go a little farther. We are tomorrow. I guess that it should not go without acknowledgement that the faculty, the administration, and the student body, which makes this day possible, I'd like to thank all of you with the deepest gratitude. To the parents, to the families, you've really made it possible. You stood behind us, and we really appreciate it. Thanks. To all the great friendships, those who continue for longer time, I also say thanks. And in closing, knowing that we all are tired of long, boring, drawn-out speeches, I toast the class and say cheers, because it is our day. Finally, to end this speech, let's get the hell out of Dodge.
We will now be joined by two members of the college family for the conferring of an honorary degree. I'd like to ask Honorable Joey Berry, Jr., our chairman of our Board of Trustees, and Dr. Chester W. Bain, Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs, to please come forward and assist in the conferring of this degree. At this time, it is my pleasure to recognize Dr. Harry W. Freeman for the purpose of presenting Richard H. Gadsden, Sr. for the degree of Doctor of Humane Studies. Dr. Freeman.
Mr. President, on behalf of the faculty, I am honored to present Dr. Richard H. Gadsden, Professor of Biochemistry and Laboratory Medicine, Professor of Medical Technology, and interim chairman of the Department of Biochemistry at the Medical University of South Carolina. Dr. Gaston graduated from the College of Charleston in 1950 with a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry and a minor in biology. He went on to complete the Master of Science and Doctor of Philosophy degrees in chemistry in 1952 and 1956 respectively at the Medical University of South Carolina, where he was elected president of the graduate student body in 1954 and 1955. Upon his graduation, Dr. Gaston was appointed to an assistant professorship of chemistry and has risen steadily through the ranks to his present position at the Medical University, where he has taken active roles in teaching, research, and administration. A member of the American Association of Clinical Chemistry, Dr. Gaston has served on the National Council, its Board of Directors, and its Executive Committee, as well as several of its editorial boards, and has served as chairman of its Southeastern section. He has also served on the Executive Committee and as president of the South Carolina Academy of Science. Dr. Gaston is a fellow of the Association of Clinical Scientists, serving as its president in 1981, a fellow of the American Institute of Chemists, and a fellow of the National Academy of Clinical Biochemistry. Among his many honors, Dr. Gaston is listed among the American Men of Science and the leaders of American science, a member of the Society of Cygnus Xi and Omicron Delta Kappa. He was chosen Outstanding Educator of America, and in 1983 was selected Alumnus of the Year of the College of Charleston. He appears in Who's Who in the South and Southwest and Who's Who in America. Dr. Gaston has served as president of the College of Charleston Alumni Association, as a member of the College Board of Trustees, as president of the Alumni Association of the Medical University of South Carolina, and as president of the College of the Charleston Symphony Orchestra Association. Mr. President, it's my privilege to present to you today a true servant of his fellow man and a loyal son of his alma mater, Dr. Richard H. Gadsden.
Richard H. Gadsden, for your lifelong devotion to the physical and intellectual well-being of your fellow man, for the remarkable qualities that have made you both scientists and humanists, and for your faithful service to your alma mater and to the Medical University of South Carolina. The College of Charleston takes pride in conferring upon you today the degree of Doctor of Letters.
Authority of the state of South Carolina granted to the State College Board of Trustees and committed to me, I declare that Richard H. Gadsden, Jr. is now admitted to the degree Doctor of Humane Letters of the College of Charleston. Congratulations, Dr. Gadsden. At this time, I would again like to call on Honorable Joe E. Berry, Jr. to make a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today marks the last graduation that one of our original board members on the State College Board of Trustees will participate in, at least in that capacity. This person has been a significant influence on our board. His advice and guidance have been invaluable to each one of us. His friendship has been and will always be cherished by me and the other members of our board. On behalf of the State College Board of Trustees, I want to thank Dr. Lightsey and faculty and staff for giving me the opportunity to read this resolution at this particular graduation. I would ask that Mr. F. Mitchell Johnson please join me up here. Whereas it has been the decision of Francis Mitchell Johnson to bring to an end his days of service as a member of the State College Board of Trustees effective the expiration date of his current term, June 30, 1987. And whereas the contributions by Mr. Johnson to higher education in South Carolina span nearly 3 decades, beginning in 1959 with his election to the College of Charleston Board of Trustees, for which he became president in 1968, during a period in the college history when it lacked financial resources, facilities, and students. And whereas Mr. Johnson served his alma mater in full measure of his fortitude and foresight, guiding the College of Charleston Board Administration through intricate negotiations with state officials and agencies and with alumni and faculty, efforts which culminated in 1970 when the 200-year-old institution became part of the South Carolina system of higher education. And whereas Mr. Johnson was appointed to the State College Board of Trustees in 1969 as a founding member, becoming vice chairman of the board the same year, a position he held until 1973 when he was elected to the office of chairman, to which he was re-elected annually until 1981, making him the only member in the board's history to complete the maximum term as chairman of 8 years, having served the board since 1981 as vice chairman of the College of Charleston. And whereas during his 18 years as a member of the State College Board of Trustees, Mr. Johnson devoted much of his considerable energy to varied and often difficult assignments, performing them with courage and skill and helping to lead the institutions under his board's governance, that is the College of Charleston, Francis Marion College, and Lambda College, through their respective periods of establishment and development and into their present state as wholesome members of the South Carolina higher education community. Now therefore, be it resolved by this resolution, the State College Board of Trustees does acknowledge the gifts of his work, his strength, warmth, and good humor, and his caring concern for the board, the colleges it governs, and the people they serve. And that the members of the State College Board of Trustees unite in expressing gratitude to Mr. Johnson for the legacy of service he leaves behind, extending their continued friendship to the man they have been privileged to call colleague and friend. And be it further resolved that the State College Board of Trustees does hereby bestow upon Francis Mitchell Johnson the title of Chairman Emeritus with seat and voice, and does instruct that a copy of this resolution be presented to Mr. Johnson.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a distinct honor for me and a privilege indeed for us to have with us today to give the commencement address one of the college's most distinguished graduates. After graduating from the college in 1943, he went home to earn his Master of Arts and doctoral degrees in history from the University of Chicago. He has held professorships of history at the University of Pennsylvania and at Hunter College, and is a distinguished professor emeritus of history at the University of South Carolina. At the University of South Carolina, he has held the Yates Snowden Professorship of History and has occupied the Carolyn McKissick Dial Chair of History. In addition, Dr. Rogers has served as president of the South Carolina Historical Society, editor of the South Carolina Historical Magazine, and is chairman of the Committee on Scholarly Activities for the South Carolina Tricentennial Commission. He has been a visiting research fellow at Merton College, Oxford, and has authored books including The Evolution of a Federalist, Charleston and the Age of Pinckneys, and the History of Georgetown County, South Carolina. He is the editor of the multi-volume series, The Papers of Henry Lawrence. It gives me great pleasure to present Dr. George Calvin Rogers, Jr. to present the commencement address. Dr. Rogers.
President Lightsey, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, parents, and friends. Memories, perceptions, anticipations. Each human mind is composed of some configuration of these three elements, be it the most brutish or the most brilliant. Carl Becker made this point in 1932 in The Heavenly City of the 18th Century Philosophers, a book which appeals to the undergraduate because it has an important theme and is written with style and clarity. Becker wrote, "At any moment of deliberate and purposeful activity, each one of us brings into present consciousness a certain part of the past, such actual or artificial memories of past events as may be necessary to orient us in our little world of endeavor. To be oriented, we must be prepared for what is coming to us. And to be prepared for what is coming to us, it is necessary not only to recall certain past events, but to anticipate the future. If our memories of past events are short and barren, our anticipations of future events will be short and barren. If our memories are rich and diversified, our anticipations of what is to come are likely to be more or less so too. The present, as held in consciousness at any time, is a pattern of thought, woven instantaneously from the threads of memories, perceptions, and anticipations. The present moment is commencement time. For me, there are more memories. For you, the students, more anticipations. There are two kinds of memories, of events one has personally experienced, and of events that one has come to know through reading, through the study of history. My happiest memories are of my 4 years at the College of Charleston. Between 1939 and 1943, this block was my heaven, a true community. I knew all 350 students, and of course, all the professors. We went to a dance almost every weekend, and when a boy went to a dance, he was supposed to dance with every girl present. The web of friendship was continuously extended, and has been sustaining. There were 4 sororities and 4 fraternities, and each organization invited the entire student body to its annual prom. Many of those friends have been with us this weekend. But I had 2 history teachers who extended my memories beyond my lifespan. Professor Gafford taught European history, Professor Easterby American history. I consider that we were fortunate in having only 2 history professors. There were no fringe courses in those days, mushrooming out of present-day relevance, only courses that dealt with the eternal, or at least the long run. That was true of English courses as well. Professor Abbott's course in the novel and the short story was popularly called Nasty 9, because it gave us a chance to sink into that darker, lower world that Freud wanted us to probe. In freshman English, we read John Goldsworthy's Indian Summer, an excerpt from the Forsyte Saga, a loving description of old Julian sitting on a terrace in the late summer sunshine, at peace with the world, symbolizing the content that superficially permeated the Western world when in the 1890s it had reached its peak. And we read Kipling, who even while he trumpeted the glories of the imperial world, perceived the reckoning that was to come. Take up the white man's burden and reap his old reward, the blame of those ye better, the hate of those ye guard. The cry of host ye Yuma, slowly toward the light. Why brought ye us from bondage, our loved Egyptian night? And then there were the truly great courses taught by Professor Wyden, Milton, of Satan and the devils, of angels and archangels and all the company of heaven, the 19th century poets from Wordsworth and Keats to Tennyson and Browning. Milton peopled heaven and hell, Tennyson scanned the future. For I dipped into the future as far as human eye could see, saw the vision of the world and all the wonder that would be. But just to be practical, inasmuch as we were at war, I took 3 years of college mathematics and 1 year of physics, which was sufficient to qualify me for the United States Air Force program in meteorology. I was soon grappling with the geography of the sea and of the air, and studying the physics of the upper atmosphere. My double major in history and English did not hinder, and I graduated from the Institute of Meteorology at the University of Chicago as a second lieutenant in the Air Force and as a meteorologist, a wartime career. As I move into the sunlit plains of retirement, I find my peace of mind stemming from the courses in English, even more than from those in history, although the two intertwine endlessly. I only regret that I did not have the chance to take Professor Widener's course on the Bible, but he did not offer it during my junior and senior years. Professor Gafford stretched my memories back to 1066 and William the Conqueror. Professor Chamberlain in his Latin classes back to the age of Rome, to Virgil and Cicero and Horace, and all those Roman heroes who meant so much as models for our founding fathers. George Washington had Joseph Addison's play Cato performed at Valley Forge. Gary Wills has proved the connection between Rome and the American Revolution in his recent book, Cincinnatus, George Washington and the Enlightenment, Images of Power in Early America. The Republic may have been saved by that one example. When Washington was worried about lending his support to the elitist organization formed by his officers, the Society of the Cincinnati, Jefferson warned him in April 1784 that the moderation and virtue of a single character has probably prevented this revolution from being closed, as most others have been, by a subversion of that liberty it was intended to establish. Therefore, Washington should be careful of his own image, that the character which will be handed to future ages as the head of our revolution may in no instance be compromitted in subordinate altercations. I wonder if Gary Hart ever studied Latin. It is the Bible that can extend the memory beyond Christ back to 1500 BC. The History of Ancient Israel by Michael Grant has done that recently for me. In a world of displaced persons, the history of the Exodus and diaspora are recurring situations. How else can we understand the Middle East and the Far East today? My clearest memories are of the history of South Carolina. I have many heroes, but I want to rise above the particular, the provincial, to contemplate more nationally visible figures, especially that great generation who made our Constitution. We celebrate this year the 200th anniversary of the writing of the Constitution of the United States. I have a fellow feeling for those great young men. I can't quite say at my age, as Sam Adams did at Lexington on April the 19th in 75, oh, what a glorious morning is this. But I do understand their memories of ancient republics, appreciate their perceptions of the world in which they lived, and sympathize with their joyful anticipations. A key word in the 18th century was posterity. The founding fathers did what they did so that their posterity would be proud of them. They did not live for the moment as most of us do, for instant gratification. They had a long future in mind. Jefferson thought that it would take 25 generations to reach the Pacific. Carl Becker, realizing that those 18th century people were moving into a more secular age, described the way in which they substituted judgment by posterity for Judgment Day. Of course, to put the kingdom of heaven here on earth, even though in the distant future, does limit the scope of our minds. To reduce the mysteries is to place shackles on our souls and prevent them from soaring. Faber's 1862 hymn, which begins, "There is a wideness in God's mercy," contains the memorable lines, "For the love of God is broader than the measure of man's mind." I have been arguing for a small liberal arts college education, such as you have undoubtedly experienced here. I am sure that you have received a better education than that received by most who have attended the State University in Columbia. We have so many departments, so many courses, that knowledge has been fractured. There are bits and pieces, but no one can put all the pieces together. Most do not try. The faculty scarcely know each other, and professionalism runs unconstrained. The School of Journalism, the School of Business Administration, the School of Engineering draw more and more students unto themselves, so that the true center of the university has become almost empty, almost unattended. There is no vital center. I am much influenced by reading Alan Boone's The Closing of the American Mind, how higher education has failed democracy and impoverished the souls of today's students. We live almost totally within the constricted present. Nietzsche said that in his time, the newspaper had replaced the prayer in the daily life of the modern bourgeois, meaning that the busy, the cheap, the ephemeral had usurped all that remained of the eternal in his daily life. Family ties have dissolved with the frequency of divorce. The important lesson that the family taught was the existence of the only unbreakable bond, for better or for worse, between human beings. Constricted to each day on our own, how can we build a better life? The founding fathers, using Locke, taught the hypothetical state of nature. But we have come full circle. We are once again in a state of nature, not in rhetoric, but in reality. Liberated from all conventional attachments to religion, country, and family, how can one reconstruct attachments? A young person today begins de novo, without givens or imperatives. He or she can choose, but for what purpose? After studying South Carolina history for many years, I think I understand our past. There are many themes that indicate a way out of our dilemma. There are loyalties of place, and time, and family. The central theme has been the slow coming together of the white and black societies. I am optimistic, and I have witnessed great advances along these lines. Compare my segregated world of the 1930s with the world of the 1980s. The big question in Columbia the past few weeks has been the opening of private dining clubs. The Summit Club has invited 3 leaders of the black community to join its membership, and they have accepted. With responsible leadership, this progress can continue. I once thought that to be a South Carolinian, one had to be native born. This was generally true until 1960. According to the 1960 census, 82.9% of South Carolinians had been born in the state. The national figure was 70.3%. According to the 1970 census, 76.6% of the population had been born in the state. The national average was 68%. In 1980, 73% of the state's population was native born. The national figure was 68.2%. For South Carolina, the percentage of native born had dropped from 82.9% to 76.6% to 73% during those 20 years. These were crucial decades for this state. We may, however, have not yet perceived a major demographic shift which is on the horizon. The 1980 census for South Carolina listed 33,000 persons of Spanish origin, 3,700 of Filipino, 2,200 of Asian Indian, 1,400 of Chinese, 1,400 of Japanese, 1,400 of Korean, and 1,100 of Vietnamese. All of these figures could certainly be higher in 1987. This local change is a reflection of a national phenomenon. The Asians, especially the Chinese Americans, are a measurable part of our population and enormously talented. A recent entering class at Harvard contained 9% Chinese Americans. The California Institute of Technology has a very large Chinese American student body. Recently, I tried to hire for the USC Department of History a young scholar who had grown up in Hong Kong, been educated in an English public school, and received his PhD degree from Yale. He was fluent in Chinese, German, and English. His dissertation on the social history of the German city that experienced the great Anabaptist upheaval of the 16th century focused a glaring light on the social changes in Reformation Europe. Unfortunately, we could not meet his price, and we lost him. You know the story of Terry Dozier, a young Vietnamese woman who taught history in Irmo High School in Columbia and was named National Teacher of the Year. You know even better the remarkable achievements of your Tom Van Vu, who won the Alumni Medal and so many other awards yesterday. The arrival of the Asian presence in American history brings us to a new and momentous turning point in the study of our nation. The yen has risen, the dollar declined. 2 weeks ago, the value of all stocks on the Tokyo Exchange surpassed the value of all stocks listed on the New York Exchange. We have been waiting anxiously this past week to find out if the Japanese still want to invest in our national debt. We are on the eve of the naturalization of 4 million persons in 1 year, most of whom will be Spanish-speaking. I do not think that any protectionist legislation will halt the tides of history. We cannot hide from the inevitable. We must use our strengths to make this influx what we want it to be, for I doubt if we can avert it. As West meets East, this graduating class has a supreme opportunity, and that opportunity flows from our common memory, the liberal arts training which is at the center of Western civilization. I take my clues from John Roberts' The Triumph of the West, published in 1985. World history is worth writing and teaching, but it must be done by one mind and not by a team. Any effort will obviously be quickly superseded, but it is the practice that has meaning and usefulness. There must be threads, not snippets. John Roberts first charts the glorious achievements of Western history and then examines the interactions of that civilization with all others. His is the story of the sheer impact of the West on the world. Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama opened up the world 500 years ago and tied it to Europe. Mercator's maps helped his own civilization to take what is now called a Eurocentric view of the world. Much later, in 1884, it was reinforced by the adoption worldwide of the Greenwich Meridian, which provides the time framework for life on Earth. At the heart of the Western view of history are two ideals. One is the idea that men and women are, in some sense, able to take charge of their own destinies. They are autonomous. The other is the idea that history is meaningful because it has direction, it is going somewhere. Rousseau, the philosopher of moral sentiment, forged the key to the Enlightenment. For him, personal, social, educational, political decisions could not be justified unless rooted in the impulse of a good motive and good feeling. Not what you did, but your motive for doing it was what mattered. This was an intensely individualist and personal view of approaching the world. For persons in the West, this belief in progress forced them to think that they ought to do something because their civilization demanded it of them. Our civilization believed in the gospel of progress, and ironically that belief is now nowhere more strongly held than by societies which are in other, more obvious and more superficial ways profoundly anti-Western. But here we have a beautiful example of a Western idea transferred to the Third World. Such ironies are at the heart of history. The itch for progress may have made the West aggressive, and at times led us down wrong paths. The best defense against Western power has always turned out to be not rejection, but acceptance of Western ideas. The industrialization of Japan has been the best example. Imitation is a great compliment. When I see Mr. Nakasone and his entourage in Washington, I perceive a group of stylishly dressed American businessmen. And we all know Mrs. Gorbachev goes to Paris. As one historian has written, there is a triumph of a sort in a discarded Coca-Cola can. India is united by the English language. The Philippines are trying to make democracy work. China is beginning to experiment with capitalism. The blacks of South Africa cherish the rights of man. Thus I say to you, the graduates, that you must use the tools of Western society to forestall the chaos and make the great merger of man's mind. We must banish fear and welcome all who come, as Tennyson would have said, to the Parliament of man. In the words of Robert Browning, I conclude, grow old along with me, the best is yet to be, the last of life, for which the first was made. Our times are in his hand who saith, a whole I planned. Youth shows but half. Trust God. See all, nor be afraid.
Yesterday at the awards ceremony, we recognized the outstanding accomplishments of many graduates that are in the senior class. We withheld to today only the highest honor that a student can achieve during his or her career at the College of Charleston. The nominees are recommended by a select committee of students, faculty, and administrative officers of the college, and are chosen on the basis of demonstrated leadership and academic excellence. This year there are two such awards, and each carries a monetary award and a framed certificate of Bishop Robert Smith's portrait, first president of the college. At this time, I would ask the audience to please rise and join me in congratulating the winners, Ms. Deborah Gammons and Mr. Darren Reinhardt. This time we will present and confer degrees. I have the honor again to ask Mr. Joey Berry, Jr., representing representing the state of South Carolina to join me for the presenting of the diplomas, and Dr. Chester W. Bain and Dr. Ruth A. Goodell to assist. Dr. Bain.
Upon successful completion of all requirements, and with the recommendation of the faculty, I have the honor to present the graduates of 1987. Those earning degrees in biochemistry: Cynthia Blair, Jennifer Ann Kennedy, Vijay Avinash Kohli, Margaret Mary Morea, and Danny Lynn Carrick. In biology: Thomas John Albert, Clarence Richard Alexander Jr., Patrice Ann Amasano, Jonathan Hal Anderson, Todd William Beeson, Patricia Malecki Campbell, magna cum laude. Christopher Troy Crenshaw, Christine Ann Dollenberg, Joseph Carmen DeMonico, Brian R. Drumheller, excuse me. Laura Jean Fisher. Keith B. Flynn. Jane Victoria Goodwin, magna cum laude. Leslie Jean Green. Jerry Wayne Hill, Jr. Kevin Allen Jasinski. Lisa Paige Lee. Larissa Suzette McClellan. Mark Lancaster Miles. Caroline Walker Nisbet. Iris Annette Pinsky. Stephen Wayne Price, cum laude. Valerie Harward Richmond, cum laude. Sarah Elizabeth Shepard. Margaret Page Skinner, magna cum laude. Theodore Robert Small. Tanya Esther Tony. And Robert Pierce Webster. Degrees in Business Administration: Frances Michelle Adkins. William James Anoni. Melissa Ann Ard. Sarah Elizabeth Oman. Cheryl Elizabeth Barnett. Christine Gable Barron. James A. Beavers. Valerie June Black. Edward Leon Bonin Jr. Melody Ray Booker. Michael R. Bosch III. Tony Lynn Breedlove. Pamela Lynn Brown, cum laude. Stephanie Dawn Bryant. Bonnie Lynn Savage. Melanie Hope Cannon. Jennifer Carol Clark. Mark Allen Clark. Joy Ann Klein. Edward Hutchinson Cochran Jr. Amanda Elaine Cole. James Claiborne Coleman III. Jean Manice Craig. Jeffrey Wayne Crescent. Lee Ann Culbreth. Cameron K. Curtis. Eileen M. DeAngelis. Peter John DiStefano. Gregory Scott Douglas. Brenda Gay Evatt. Anne Margaret Farrell. Jennifer Lee Finnegan. Kelly Michelle Fowler. Susan Marie Free. Helen Allison Gates. Philip Lloyd Gentry. Joe Malcolm Glenn Jr. Julie Annette Roden. Jackie Marie Hammond. Rita Darlene Hammond. Dolores Lynn Hanna. Margaret Celeste Hart, cum laude. Kelly Lee Anna Kern. Anna Mae S. Susan K. Hygard, cum laude. Virginia Duncan Hodge. Carly Alvin Hood. Mark Stephen Howell, magna cum laude. Thelma Gail Husky. Beverly Whitlock Iskett. Chanel FIFA Jackson. Althea Opal Johnson. Marilyn Marie Jordan. Elizabeth Howerton Kiesler. Catherine Ann Keith. Joan Cho Kim. Angela Marie Kirby, cum laude. Everett A. Knight Jr. Audrey Salvador Crass. Arlette L. Landrum, magna cum laude. John Christopher Langell, cum laude. Eric Joseph Litzinger. Martina L. Warwick. Michael Frederick McEachern. Audrey P. Mack, Jenny Lee Macon, Robert Francis Marion IV, Carol Ann Marshall, Michael Winford Massey Jr., Susan Marie Matthews, Lisa Ann Maddox, Helena Elizabeth McKay, Vivian Sandra Meek, Julie Gilliard Miles, Sherry Lynn Montgomery, Lori Louise Moore, Lisa Joan Morris, Florence Louise Nelson, Margaret Fraser Norwood, Judith Ann Oddie, James Archie Owens, Julie Ann Owens, Carolyn Denise Haskell, Charlene L. Pierce, Mary Josie Pierce, Gregory Robert Pierce, Julie Elaine Pincus, Deborah A. Lockey, Mary Devereaux K. Porter, Kent Brian Puffenbarger, Jean Marie Quinn, Eliza Paul Raven, Philip Hector Rackelboom, cum laude, J. P. Reynolds, Laura Elizabeth Rigsby,
I can't take it anymore.
Cassandra A. Roy, Kimberly Ann Sanders, Georgiana Schermeyer, Joseph Noel Schweers III, William Howard Sohn Jr., David Ray Sparks, Laura Kathleen Spear, Stuart George Spencer, Angelos Gabriel Fitzgerald, Pamela Ruth Truitt, Teresa Lang Truix, Oliver Theodore Wallace, James Brian Walton, Lawrence Howell Watson, Beverly Gastrite Webb, Mary Beth Wegener, Nina Catherine Wessinger, Teresa Ann Williams, Mary Elizabeth Zervis, degrees in chemistry, Ernestine Brown, Jacqueline Lackey Case, Dean C. Duncan. Verdella Deneen Penny. Glenn A. Wallen. Deborah Denise Varner. Laura Lee Workman. Degrees in computer science. Karen Ann Busker. Russell Franklin Guest. Catherine Porche Jenkins, magna cum laude. Pierre Eric Lozone. Gary Jean Lipscomb. Lee Anna Madison, cum laude. Gary Lee McSwain. Glenn Arthur Ruth. Hyman I. Saracen. Todd Lee Wyndham. In economics, Gloria Maria Oslanidis. Gregory Shane Brickle. Fred Stubbs Davis III. Nancy Castle Fenter. Sabra Ann Foster.
Breaking up.
Robert Eugene Hans.
Nancy.
Martin Gregory O'Leary. Paul Anthony Odenhoven, magna cum laude. Degrees in education. Sharon Teresa Brown.
All right, Sharon.
Victoria Hudgens Bruton, cum laude. Paige Ferris Butler. Vera Ann Cobb. Denise Marie Corbett. Cynthia Diane Crawford, cum laude. Sally Arance Davis. Deborah Elizabeth Doherty. Hilda Suzanne Dunnigan, cum laude. Teresa Ann Eversole. Kelly Lynn Fleming. Louisa Elizabeth Gear, cum laude. Eliza Helene Gentry. Sonia Faye Goff. Melissa Ann Gossett. Pamela Warren Guston. Kimberlyn Jane Eaton. Jenny Siglius Gill. Roseanne Eden Jackson. Mary Catherine Kendrick. Tracy Lee Loftus. Catherine Ann Melanson. Pamela Francis Maloney. Dana W. Mulkey Hansen. Deanna Michelle Moody. Margaret Ellen Mungen. Sarah Ann Peterson. Angela Dawn Pitts. Patricia Diane Ponder. Amy Reinhardt. Julie Sells Rubin.
Jeffrey, you back on?
Sheena Marie Russian.
0 out.
Melissa Winifred Schroeder. Lynette Ruth Shelley. Kimberly Bride Sobieschek. Stacy Suzanne Stelz. Linda Margaret Summers. Suzanne Marie Simmons. Paula Ruth Tisdale. Janet Renee Watson. Mary Catherine Westbrook. Kathy M. Weiss, summa cum laude. Deborah Deneen Yarnall. The Department of English. Charles Daniel Brower, cum laude. Tracy Ann Couch. Danielle Menon-Duron.
Go Danielle!
Mary Gallagher France. Deborah Denise Gammons. Elizabeth Hawthorne Grimes. Jimmy Nelson Hager. Mara Gail Hogan. Devon Alexander Pope.
Good!
Sabra Elizabeth Horn.
Go Sabra! Yeah.
Louise K. Howard. Catherine Louise Miller. Thomas O'Neill. David Eugene Parker. Charlene Ann Purvis. Ann Elizabeth Quarles. Helen Claire Rockefeller.
Thank the Lord!
Diana Lynn Romola. Lisa Marie Still. Anna Wilkerson. Fine Arts. Helen Vanessa Brooks. Joanne Hannon Brown. Ann Elizabeth Buxton. Royal Calloway Jr.
Just over, thanks.
Margaret Jean Carino. Eric Addison Cockrell. Ann Copeland Edwards. Paul Thompson G. Julie Lynn Gottle. Catherine Parmalee Graham. Shelley Marissa Graham. Fred N. Jones. Bradley Thomas Heath. James Robert Lovett. Rebecca Ann Melanson. Persephone Ann Desanik. Carolyn Carol Mitchell. Mary Gail Morgan. Stephen Bernard Nettles. Hollis Omar Porth. Brian Christopher Rutenberg. Olivia J. N. Sampson. Lee Ann Schaefer. Christine Adams Smith. Eric Ross Smith. Henrietta Oliver Swyford. Nina Elizabeth Thompson.
All right.
Tom Bambu, summa cum laude. Evelyn M. Wade. Krista Katrina Westbury. Norma Kellum Williams. Jacelyn Elizabeth Winburn, cum laude. Geology. Mark Wilson Darrington.
Rock Doctor!
Richard Aaron Moore. History. Margaret Elizabeth Bennett. Christopher S. Boylan. Custis Moore Byers. Jessica Cannon Cecil. Margaret Ann Chamberlain, cum laude. Maria Lillian Covington. Paul Porter Crocker. Kelly E. Duncan. Darren Scott Dunn, cum laude. Stuart Gordon Gilmer, Jr. Zoe Elizabeth Rankin. Marisa Ann Hine. Elizabeth Ann Jurasic. Stephen Harold Lowe. Cleveland Randolph Moore. Catherine Helen Katana. W. Calhoun Robertson. Lucia Ellinger Rowland. Betty Jean Edie Sanders, magna cum laude. Patrick Charles Squires, summa cum laude.
Each year at graduation, we announce the first undergraduate. This year we have two with perfect 4.0 records. Mr. Squires is one of the two. I'd like for you to give him the applause.
Alessandra Whitehead. Kimberly Dawn Wood. Tammy Renee Sarver. Department of Languages. Joseph Kershaw Smith. Henry Shaw III. Now the Department of Languages. I don't think I want to mess up this next one, actually. Paula Frost Berry. J. Elizabeth Brackett. Harriet Brissette Cole. Wendy Roselle Earnshaw. Jeffrey R. Graycar, cum laude. Gretchen Gail Hurt, cum laude. Joseph Edward Jones III. Fiona Dorothy Miller. Sean Lee Orfa. Darren Leon Reinhardt, magna cum laude. Sienna Amistad Schenkel. Hugh David Singleton. Gordon Dwayne Westcoat.
President.
The next degree will be awarded by Professor Roseanne Ray of the Education Department to her daughter, Devin Elizabeth Ray, cum laude. Mathematics. Melody Scott Anderson. Susan Watts Case. David Edward Hull. Rebecca Lynn Fanning. Michelle Gaitan. Shelley Kelly Gay Geddes. Julia Rotha, magna cum laude. Kimberly A. Lesko. Peggy Ann Williams Mahan, magna cum laude. Kimberly Ann Osborne, cum laude. W. David Owenby, Jr. Denise Michelle Hazik. George Lewis Ray. Scott Richard Sutton. Tony Latronian Thomas. Diana Michelle Ussery. Philosophy. William G. Beach. Karen Lynn Beaudry. Michael Kelly Cook. Henrietta Jones Evatt. Edward Mayo Hartley, cum laude. Catherine Rowell Jones. Mary Parker Lyles. Timothy A. Preston.
Hey, Bill.
Physical education. Diane Gale Dubas. Wayne Metz Duckett.
I'm waiting for
Eric Edwin English.
It's been a long time.
Michael Allen Peavy. Stephen Paul Leroy O'Donnell Smith. James Gregory Tucker. Ralph Urbanek II. Physics. Luther F. Hughes, Jr. Michael T. Francisco. Ralph Allen Johnson. Christopher Allen Raffel. Mark David Sargent. Andrea Leon Shanti. Political science. Steve Angelo Aslandis. Milton Christopher Beckham. Ryan Michael Benedict. Percy Edward Bigelow. Bertha Jean Whitney Booker. Cynthia Lynn Cavender. Karen Elizabeth Clemens. Annette Lee DeCuba. Susan Marie Davenport. Rhonda D. Davis. Sarah Jane Davis.
Peter Andrew Ferraro. Christine Merritt Gann. Wayne Virgil Gray. Genevieve Amelia Condell. Kimberly Dawn Hazel. Jonathan Carl Howell. Dolly Santos Jaffe. Allison Kit Luke. Elizabeth Stewart Mitchell. Robert Stowers Morrow. Stacy Ramsdell Nichols. Tracy Diane O'Kelly. Jeffrey James Korzensky. David Robert Gray, Jr. Patrick Evan Ringwald. Kristen English Robinson, magna cum laude. Melissa Kathleen Rowe. Stuart McPherson Saunders. Rachel Louise Thompson. Pamela Sue Topper. William Ewan Wells. Cheryl Henderson Wilhite. Psychology. Christina Lewis Ayers, summa cum laude.
Christina Ayers is the other first-time graduate at the Perfect 4.0. Please stand and applaud.
Courtney James Faber. Mary Christine Fox. Susan V. Breon. Rebecca Claire Bird. Allison Ashby Carter. Amelia Falls Chalmers. Michael Lewis Conyers. Vincent Raymond Dorsey. Cynthia Marie Duane, cum laude. Brooke Margaret Eisenhower. Gina Jo Hardwick.
Wow, Gina!
Marie Selena Hebert. Leslie Lee Holbrook. Leona Janine Horn. Carolyn E. Hudgens. Donna Klein, cum laude. Laura Elaine Laney. Sue Long Wing. Robin Lynn Martin. Michael Gregory Michaelojak, cum laude. Gloria Annette Morgan. Sarah C. Parker,
magna cum laude. Suzanne Elizabeth Block. Pamela Demosthenes Rustin. Irene Michelle Stallings. Allison Marie Stewart. Ann M. Topp. Sidney F. Thomas III. Lee DeArbury Williams. Monique Renee Williams. Sociology and Anthropology. Janet Elizabeth Amar. Kelly Christine Bodell. Benjamin Bernard Dunlap. Dana Leslie Carroll, magna cum laude. Jenny Ann Freeman. Sam M. Gordon Jr. Daniel Hanbury. Nancy Lynn Hill. Mary Bickle Gregg Horn. Kimberly Ann Houston. Cherry Lynn Johnson. Virginia Belanger Johnson.
All right, Ginger!
Patricia L. Colbeck. Frederick Carson Mencken III, summa cum laude. Jennifer Leah Potts. Marilyn Ruth Toomey. Urban Studies. Roberta Charlene Bouvette. Susan Hillman Marsh.
By the authority granted to me by the South Carolina State College Board of Trustees, the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelors of Science as earned is hereby conferred upon these candidates. Congratulations on the audience. Please stand and applaud the class.
Chairman of the Education Department will put the education degree candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Teaching. In Early Childhood Education, Linda J. Lamont Gibson. In Elementary Education, Ann Martin Ayers Harris. The candidates whose degrees are awarded in absentia are so indicated in the program. Now, for the degree of Master of Education, in Early Childhood Education, Angela Defane Manigault. Nancy E. Sharkey. Bonnie Carter Steedley. In Elementary Education, John Thomas O'Brien, David Lee Trower, and Sarah Wenger Trower. And in special education, Laura Ann Jones Gerber and Julia Ann Seegers. Other candidates receiving their degrees in absentia are in the program.
By the authority granted to me by the South Carolina State College Board of Trustees, the degree of Master of Education is hereby conferred upon these candidates. Congratulations.
Dr. Frank Petrusak, who is Director of the Master of Public Administration program, will put the Master of Public Administration candidates. Now for the degree of Master of Public Administration. Mary Beth Houston. Richard Glenn Kaiser. Linda Lee LeBrew. Jennifer Janine Miller. Jim David Raven. And Sharon Nancy Richardson. Other candidates whose degrees are awarded in absentia are indicated in the list.
Unto God's gracious mercy and protection we commit you. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon you and give you peace, both now and forevermore. Amen.